Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Snow, and today, let's continue my build series with the alternate version of Safiyyah, or Sofia, whichever you prefer. I say Safiyyah because that's the pronunciation used in the preview videos for the global version, so that's what I'm going with. This new version of Safiyyah is one of the most highly anticipated characters yet. There's a lot of people who like Safiyyah as a character in general, but she also happens to be a top-tier support character. And quite frankly, she's a unique support character. You'll see what I mean when we go over her skill kit. So in this video, I'll be going over her skill build as well as her skill and equipment setups. First, we have her trait skill. It's called Mobile Team Operations Staff, also called MS Combat Staff. With this skill, when all allies within 6 tiles of the character attacks targets with Mobile Squad Mark, which is her special mechanic, it increases attack by 15% and deals 25% more damage and piercing damage when performing assisting attack or alert. This first section of her trait skill is impacted by her star level the most, so there's a lot that changes and gets added. For instance, the range of this skill starts off at 5 tiles at base star level and increases to 6 tiles at 5 stars. For the attack increase, it starts off at 5% at base star level, increases to 10% at 2 stars, and reaches the maximum of 15% at 4 stars. And this entire section where it says deals 25% more damage and piercing damage when performing assisting attack or alert gets added at 3 stars. And the damage boost starts off at 15% and increases to 25% at 5 stars. For the second part of her trait skill, she has this at base star level, and there's only some minor changes with increasing her star level. So with this part of her trait skill, after actively casting support skills or passively triggering healing effects on an ally, it grants them 2 random level 2 buffs, which last for 2 turns. This is the only section that changes with star level. So at base star level, it's 1 random level 1 buff, which increases to a level 2 buff at 4 stars, and at 5 stars, you get 2 random level 2 buffs, and the buffs last for 2 turns. For the next part of her trait skill, at the start of the turn, it inflicts Mobile Squad Mark on all enemies within 6 tiles of the character, and the mark will last for 2 turns. As I said before, this Mobile Squad Mark is her unique mechanic, and it will come into play with some of her other skills on her skill tree. She also starts with a skill called Assault Order, also called Raid Order. With this support skill, she grants Assault Order to the target ally for 1 turn, then heals the target's HP by 60% of the caster's physical attack plus their magic attack. So with Assault Order, when launching an active single target attack, the character performs an additional assisting attack with their basic attack, dealing 100% corresponding damage. This can be activated up to 1 time per round. This is a nice skill to start off with, and it's a good way to provide additional healing, but she has so many premium skills on her skill tree that it will likely be replaced pretty quickly. At rank 1, we have a support skill and an aura skill. First, we have Solemn. This is an aura skill that decreases the attack of all enemies within a 2-tile radius around the character by 10%. This is a nice supportive style skill that will help reduce the damage taken by your team, but her other skill at rank 1 is an important one. It's a support skill that's called Frontline Deployment. This is an instant skill that causes the target ally to walk to an empty tile within 5 tiles around them. This skill is impacted by special tile effects. This is a very useful and valuable skill because it allows you to either push your characters forward or you can pull your characters back. So it has really nice strategic value and is one of her primary skills. Also, since it's an instant skill, she can use other skills on her turn. So for rank 1, it is recommended to pick up Frontline Deployment. At rank 3, we have a passive and a support skill. First, we have a support skill called Sniper Cover. With this skill, the character gains 1 dodge lasting for 1 turn, and performs Alert, which is a buff that guards a certain area, casting skills at enemies that move into the range. And the alert range of this skill is a 3x5 area in front, dealing magical damage equal to 150% of physical attack and interrupting enemies' turns. After attacking, she inflicts Eye for Weakness on the target, which increases damage taken by 20%. and this debuff lasts for 2 turns. This is a great skill because it is an alert skill, so it gives you a chance to deal damage, disrupt the enemy, and you also gain dodge. So this skill does have a number of benefits, and it is one of her better skills. Her other option at rank 3 is called Safeguard Protocol, also called Complete Consideration. This is a passive that at the end of the turn, she heals 2 allies in battle with the lowest HP for 40% of her physical attack plus her magic attack. And when she uses standby, it triggers an additional time, healing 20% of her physical attack plus her magic attack. This passive is really great because it allows her to be a really proficient healer. And because it's a passive, she doesn't have to waste a turn to heal her allies. So this is a very beneficial skill to have because it allows her to function as a healer. Both skills at rank 3 are really great, but if you're short on Castalias, it's recommended to pick up Safeguard Protocol at rank 3. At rank 5, we have the reaction skills. First, we have Avoid Vital Points, also called Weak Spot Protection. With this skill, when hit by an active attack, the damage taken is decreased by 8%, and the chance of taking critical hits is decreased by 30%. So this is a very good defensive style skill, and for damage reduction. Her other choice at rank 5 is called Battlefield Healing. With this skill, when hit by an active attack, the damage taken is decreased by 8%. And when she's hit by an active attack, it heals the ally with the lowest HP percentage within 2 tiles of the character by 100% of her magic defense. This reaction skill is really good because she can heal herself. So this reaction skill gives her a great combination of damage mitigation and sustain. And for those reasons, it's recommended to pick up this reaction skill at rank 5. At rank 7, we have an aura skill and a support skill. First, we have a leader's aura skill called Scarlet Memory, also called Crimson Memory. With this skill, for all Night Crimson allies in battle, it increases their attack by 10% and their defense by 20%. So this skill gives a nice combination of offensive and defensive benefits. Her other option at rank 7 is called Together With You. This is a support skill that grants co-attack, which is a buff, that increases attack by 5% for every ally within 2 tiles, up to 15%. And co-defense, which is a buff, that increases defense by 10% for every ally within 2 tiles, up to 40%. And these buffs are applied to all allies within 3 tiles of the character, and the buffs last for 3 turns. When using Iria and Night Crimson allies, those characters will count as 1 additional unit when calculating the number of friendly forces for both co-attack and co-defense. In other words, if you use Iria and Night Crimson characters, it will help with stacking up these buffs much faster. You really only need 2 characters to reach the maximum benefits for both co-attack and co-defense. This support skill has a higher potential for increasing the attack and defense of your allies compared to the leader's aura skill, and it's not restricted by a cooldown, so it's recommended to pick up Together With You at rank 7. At rank 9, we have the basic attacks. First, we have Energy Back, also called Invigorating Strike, and this basic attack deals 100% physical damage and additionally recovers 1 energy. The energy regeneration from this skill is really nice, but the other skill at rank 9 is really important, and this is called Joint Strike. This is a single target attack that deals 80% physical damage and inflicts Mobile Squad Mark, which lasts for 2 turns, and makes the closest ally within 3 tiles of the target perform an assisting attack with a basic attack, dealing 50% damage. So this skill has a nice combination of inflicting Mobile Squad Mark while enabling an assist attack from one of your other allies. The most important part of this skill is you need to learn the skill to get access to her SP skill, which happens to be her best reaction skill. There are additional unlock conditions. You need the original Sofia, not this alternate version, the original version, to learn Blade Chase. And you also need the alternate form of Sofia to reach 3 stars. So there are a number of requirements to get this SP skill, and the SP skill is called Blade Chase. It's a reaction skill that performs an assisting attack on enemies with Mobile Squad Mark within 3 tiles of the character, dealing 50% physical damage. Then heals the teammate with the lowest HP percentage within range, restoring 30% of the caster's physical attack plus magic attack, which can be triggered up to 1 time per round. This is the primary reaction skill that's recommended for her to use, Plus, Joint Strike is a really good basic attack for her to use as well, so it's really important you pick up Joint Strike at rank 9. At rank 11, we have a support skill and a healing skill. The first skill is called Rebirth, also called Newborn. This skill heals all allies in battle for 30% of their HP. They also gain Increase Attack 1, which increases their physical attack and magic attack by 10%, and Magic Defense Increase 1, which is a buff that increases magic defense by 20%, and these buffs last for 2 turns. This is a really great healing skill because it has such a large range. It affects the entire battlefield, which is incredibly useful and valuable. It also has a really long cooldown. Her other option at rank 11 is called Mobile Team Tactic, also called Mobile Squad Tactic. This is a support skill that inflicts Eye for weakness on the target, and that lasts for 2 turns. And it also causes the 4 closest allies within 3 tiles of the target to perform an assisting attack using their basic attack, dealing 50% damage. This is her ultimate skill and her primary damage dealing skill, and the skill basically becomes a mainstay for her skill setup. So at rank 11, it's recommended to pick up Mobile Squad Tactic. So for her skill setup, for her basic attack you're going to have Joint Strike. For her reaction skill, you'll originally have Battlefield Healing, and once you unlock her SP skill, you'll want to replace her reaction skill with Blade Chase. And as for her skill slots, there's a number of different setups that you can use. A great supportive build for her is to use her ultimate skill, Frontline Deployment, which is a skill that lets you move the characters around, and her healing passive. You can also swap out the healing passive for her support skill together with you. This setup would allow her to increase the offensive and defensive capabilities of her team, and if you want her to have more offensive capabilities, you could swap in her other supportive skill, Sniper Cover. You can also remove Frontline Deployment and mix and match the skills however you'd like. For her equipment setup, she has a couple of options for her weapon. She does have a signature weapon called Nocturnal Glow. This was obviously made for her. It increases her attack and defense. It also enables her to dispel 1 debuff from her allies and grants them a level 1 buff. And the buffs can be increased attack, critical rate, physical defense, magic defense, and healing. It also applies a buff called Nocturnal Glow, and this increases the damage by 10%, and those buffs will last for 2 turns. So this weapon really enhances her ability to be a supportive character, so she can provide even more supportive benefits for her team through the dispel and the buffs applied. You can also use something like Cornucopia Dagger for its healing and energy recovery benefits. You can also use Newborn Blade for its increased HP and physical attack bonuses. And for her trinket, her best option is Old Scrolls. It lets her apply buffs to one of her allies, which works really well with her supportive role. You can also use something like Disaster Bottle, which inflicts a random debuff on the enemy, which again is a good supportive style trinket. As for engravings, you can use Double Cup. That would increase the healing effects by 10% and the healing received by 10%. You can also use Sword and Wand. This resonance will increase the attack and defense by 4% for each tile transverse, up to 12%. And the effect lasts until the start of the next turn. Another option is Cup and Wand, and with this resonance, at the end of the turn, there is a 50% chance of gaining Engraving Resonance. And the effect of that is that when using an active attack, next time it refunds the energy consumed, and it resets the skill cooldown. This effect does have a 4-turn cooldown, but this is a really good way for her to spam her skills. And lastly, for her Tarot Whisper, you can use something like Mercy of the High Priestess. This increases healing effects. You can also use something like Guidance of the World. This recovers 1 energy additionally when not using an active skill, and Standby. This alternate version of Safiyyah is a top-tier support character with a unique mechanic that places emphasis on dealing damage through alert and assist attacks. She also has many support skills that provide healing for team-wide sustain and buffs to improve the team's defense, attack, and overall damage. Her Frontline Deployment skill has strong strategic benefits by granting her the ability to move her allies forward or pull them back to safety. I do want to note, a lot of her supportive ability provided by her trait skill is locked behind star level, so she needs to be at least 3 stars or better to get the increased damage and piercing damage effects from her assist and alert attacks. However, Ultra Safiyyah is absolutely a top-tier support character, boasting powerful buffs, healing, and damage through assist attacks. She's definitely worth building if you get her. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.